How did I go from being one of the shyest, least confident, awkward people to being comfortable, totally comfortable, coaching some of the most successful senior executives in some of the largest corporations in the world? That's what I want to talk about in this video. Okay, I've got 4 tips that I want to share with you. 4 discoveries, really, that I've made throughout my life that have helped me move from being shy and no confidence to being confident and being able to be comfortable coaching some of the most successful people in the world. Before I share the 4 tips, I've got to let you know that I really was that awkward, especially as a kid. I mean, I'm the one who sat in the back of the class, didn't want to be picked for kickball, didn't want you to recognize me. I didn't feel like I had anything to offer. So I wasn't disruptive, but I didn't speak up and I went unnoticed by most people. So here are the tips. Here's what I learned throughout my life that's really helped me gain confidence. The first thing is I have a voice that matters and there are people who want to hear it. Mr. Mann, one of my high school teachers, is one of the first people that taught me this. One day after class in high school, he asked me to stay after. And he said to me, once all the other kids had left the room, he said, "Russell, I want you to know that I'm going to fail you if you don't start speaking up in class." And I thought, you can't fail me if I'm doing the work, right? You can't fail me for just not talking. But he intended to. He said to me, went on to say, you have opinions and thoughts and experience that our class will be better if you'll speak up in it. And so I expect you to speak up. So guess what I did? Starting the next day and in every class from then on, I spoke up and I started to notice, wow, people want to hear from me. They're not laughing at what I have to say. They're finding value in what I'm saying. So the second tip I'd share with you is realize that nobody else is as good as they claim or seem to be. I tell my kids one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life was living on a golf course. You know why? We had the second-story deck that overlooked one of the fairways. And we would sit out there, I'd barbecue or we'd have meals out there. And week after week and month after month, I realized most golfers are terrible. Like there's a small percentage of people who can actually hit the ball they want to where they want it to go. And so I'd watch people shank their shot and they'd act all frustrated and amazed that they missed their shot. And then the next group, the same thing. And the next group, the same thing. Everybody was so shocked that they weren't good golfers. Not only did that help my confidence as a wannabe golfer, but it helped teach me a lesson about life. The third tip or discovery I'd share with you is that the critics, the people who are critical of you, are doing so to cover up their own pain, their own hurt. You see, we give constructive feedback to people we're trying to make better, give you insight and tips on ways to improve or things you might consider because we're invested in you growing. The critics are only interested in one thing, ripping you to shreds, tearing you down. Why? Because they are hurting. And the way they've decided to cover up or to cope with their pain is to rip you down, tear you down with them. That was a huge discovery for me. The fourth discovery or tip I'd share with you in gaining confidence is that you have to lean into your strengths. Do you know what one of my favorite things to do is? Speak in front of large crowds. The bigger the crowd, the better. Most people, research shows, they fear public speaking as much as they fear death, maybe even more. Yet I love it. So guess what I do? I'm in a career where I find myself frequently speaking at industry conferences, corporate events, large crowds, and I love it. So lean into your strengths. There are things you're really good at, things you're interested in. Lean into those. Lean away from things that you're not as good at. So these are the 4 discoveries I made. I have a voice. It matters and people want to hear it. 2, no one else is as good as I think they are or as good as they're claiming. 3rd, the critics are just people who are hurting and trying to cover up their own insecurities or doubts or their own regrets and mistakes. 4th is lean into your strengths. Do what you're good at and discover that there are things you're good at and things you're not as good at, and that's okay. That's how we all are. If you're interested in more content like this, do me a favor, just tap or click on that subscribe button below. To be a leader, you have to have confidence. We want to follow people who are competent, not arrogant, but confident and they've got the flag and they're marching down the path. So we don't want to be arrogant. Absolutely. An arrogant person is someone who's not curious, is not interested in other people's opinion. A confident person is somebody who realizes all those 4 things that I've shared in this video. Tap or click on the subscribe button if you're interested in more content like this.